Welcome to One on One. I'm Phil Tillman, your host, and today we are delighted to welcome into our studio Senator Jim Mathias. Welcome, Senator.
Absolutely.
Welcome back, because you've been here before.
Oh, we have, and
Yeah,
Phil, I'm
yeah.
proud to be here, and certainly to your viewers and all. Good afternoon. It's a beautiful day here on the Eastern Shore.
It is, and it's the election season, and we are interviewing all of the candidates for state and local office here on PAC 14, and we want to have you as an opportunity to say, tell us about 38. Are there some changes in the district that you represent?
Well, geographically, it is probably one of the largest districts in the state of Maryland.
Wow.
And I will say that, and it is very diverse. When we go down into Somerset and we look at the challenges in Somerset, come back out of Somerset with our agriculture, our commercial watermen and the like. And as you well know, they really got hammered with Hurricane Sandy. We were able to work together and bring leadership there to help them recover and reverse. I was able to work together with our federal delegation and reverse FEMA's adverse ruling on the individual assistance.
Oh, yeah.
And when you look at those challenges, Somerset has its own challenges. But we work hard. My mother would say, Jimmy, take care of what you have first and then start taking a look at other things. Our agriculture, our commercial watermen, our small business base is certainly when we look at the needs of Somerset. And then we come back over and we go into Worcester County and you look at the tourism-based economy there. As you well know, I was the mayor of Ocean City for 10 years. And we were very, very fortunate. We went in and we had about a $4 billion accessible base with about 8 million people a year visiting. And when we left, it was a $12 billion accessible base. That tourism industry is absolutely critical, absolutely critical. And we want to make certain that we protect it, we grow it, preserve it, but also our residential community, Ocean Pines. And you look at how vibrant Ocean Pines is. And then let's come back west a little bit over here to Wycomico County. And look at the vibrance here that we want to make sure that we continue to underwrite. The redevelopment of downtown, that's a priority. I would like to see one day, and I work hard towards having a medical school here in Salisbury, to be able to work with Salisbury University, University of Maryland Eastern Shore, the downtown redevelopment plan, and have that medical school one day that can help our rural areas. When we look at what we need, rural prosperity. But when you talk about going around the entire district, geographically it's large, but the opportunities really are there. And what it takes is effective leadership, getting effective results to get the job done. You know, as I already said about Mom saying, take care of what you have first, but you have to vision. How about those Orioles? When you look at where we're going with the Orioles, and you think that there was a day that the Colts were taken away from us, and perhaps the Orioles were going to go, there was vision that brought that downtown Baltimore to where it is today. Vision, that's what we have here today, Wallops Island. Look at that technology. Although it's in Virginia, half the employees in Wallops Island live here in Maryland. So we look at those opportunities, medical, technology, certainly agricultural, tourism, our small business, and we want to make certain that we are there to assist the most important person, and that's the people of the Eastern Shore. It's the families. These are the opportunities that will allow us employment, allow us to continue to go forward, but allow most importantly, our families to thrive. So that's really the composite of District 38. It's vibrant, it's large, and there's opportunity there, but you have to be able to grasp vision and deliver, and that's what we do.
Well, you've just almost answered the question, but the challenges that the state of Maryland faces in the coming years, and you talked about the diversity of 38. What are some of the things that are kind of indigenous to our area when it comes to issues in this election?
Well, certainly, again, we've talked about a few of them already, making certain that we are able to continue to be an effective voice for agriculture. Vital. You know, this time last year, agriculture really felt like they were under siege. our poultry industry, our grain farmers and the like, because of the phosphorus management tool. That was heading down a fast track, and we were able to work with leadership on both sides, in both the Senate and the House and with the executive branch, to put a halt on that. And finally, ultimately, through language that I was able to get in the budget, to make certain that we had an economic impact statement done. Mm-hmm. And Dr. Memo Derricker is right on the verge of having that complete. Very complex, because those regulations, as in other regulations with other industries, can make us and put us in a very, very vulnerable position here. So when we look at agriculture, we have to make certain that we understand, A, it's an asset, but it's one that has to be truly understood so it can continue to be that asset. We've talked about tourism, we talk about business, but most importantly, as I've already said, we've talked about families. You know, Maryland has had the tremendous opportunity, even in the most difficult of economic times, and we'll talk about it in a moment, to be named as the best public school system in the United States of America 5 years in a row, and also be able to bring the cost of higher education down. And when you look at the facilities that we have here today, the economic impact of our universities, Salisbury University, when you look at what's ongoing, their jobs, the Teachers and Tech Center, the Commons. Let's go down, let's take a ride down the University of Maryland Eastern Shore. Look at the jobs that are being created right now with the aviation engineering building there. When we turn around and we start to head east on Route 50 and look at Warwick Community College and the Allied Health building that's there, our public safety officers that are trained there and the like. These are opportunities that are vital to the Eastern Shore. And when we go to work, we have to make certain, when we look at these budgets, when we look at these needs in very trying economic times, that we make good decisions for our future, and we underwrite the assets that we have here today, and certainly so that we can provide for our families, so that when we achieve from an educational perspective, when we achieve with higher education and with our vocations here on the shore, that we allow our families to continue to grow here. And that's the most important thing, is our families and our future on the Eastern Shore.
When you talk about additions to UMES and Salisbury University and Warwick Community College that are, for the most part, state funded, there's certainly local money in that too. Some people would argue that, well, gosh, you're just borrowing money. What do you say to the people who say something about the bonded indebtedness of the state of Maryland?
Well, most importantly, we say we're making an investment in the future. And let's go right down to our bond rating agencies and look what they have to say. All three sit and make statement overview about our credit worthiness in Maryland. Moody's, Standard & Poor's, they look at us, all three look at us and say Maryland displays very strong fiscal responsibility. And when you look at the 15 years that a state bond is certainly extended over, they make certain that we are able to pay it back, but there's a number of variables. So we are only one of 10 states, Phil, one of 10 that continues to enjoy, and we're going to talk about this now, that continues to enjoy our AAA bond rating. One of 10. And let's please, right at this moment, let's not just come into the middle of the movie. Let's talk about where Maryland has been. And there has always been governors preceding this governor now that continued to move indebtedness forward. When we came in to office in the House of Delegates, there was a $2 billion structural deficit. Little did we know that on top of that the worst economic time since the Great Depression was going to come upon us. We know what happened here, but we were able, by partnership, by working together, asking other folks as well throughout Maryland to make sacrifices, we've been able to all but get rid of that $2 billion structural deficit and continue to go forward, retain our AAA bond rating, and certainly continue our bright future. So from time to time, you're going to see different assessments and analysis of our cash flow with regards to our tax revenues and the like. But I ask the folks to realize, look at where we were, look at where we are now, and look at how we all come together to work that way. And we've made it through good decision making. Certainly there's challenges along the way, and we're prepared when we work together with people to meet those challenges and continue to provide. But when you ask the question, they're investments in our future. Investments in our future. When you look at the Salisbury, perhaps it used to be from an industrial perspective, and now you look, I was jubilant Cadista. You look at the opportunities. You've read recently about the investors coming in with Court Plaza and Temple Hills. These are opportunities. But then when you look at Colburn Woods and the mills that had their challenges with their water a year and a half or 2 years ago, again, by good working relationships, we were able to come in and work with MDE and USDA to provide the monies to allow that water quality and allow that water system to be provided there to underwrite those property values. So whether it's opportunity from an industrial perspective, opportunity through education, and certainly the economic impact of higher education in the facilities here, or making sure that we protect our communities, our residential communities here. Maryland's financials are strong. They are underwritten by our bond rating agencies, all three, Standards & Poor's, across the board. And I feel good about Maryland, but also I'm fiscally responsible. And there are times, look, I know we're butted up against Delaware with regards to sales taxes and like, and Virginia, but I want to make sure as one of my priorities that we keep Maryland competitive. I don't want to look at Phil Tillman one day and say, Jim, it's been a pleasure knowing you, but I'm going to Florida. It's been a pleasure knowing you, but because of the tax burden in Maryland, I'm going to Delaware. We want to make sure that you and your viewers stay here to enjoy your family and the assets that we have here, and that's a top priority. Talking about our tax burdens here, making sure that they're affordable, that we keep our families here, we keep our opportunities alive, and continue working for a great Eastern Shore.
We hear all the time about the so-called Big Seven in Maryland, the Big Seven counties from Baltimore to Washington, who have most of the power and most of the people in the state of Maryland. How does a senator from the Eastern Shore of Maryland get his voice speaking for Jim Perdue, speaking for the grain farmer and the waterman and the guy from Chrisfield? How does he get this message to be heard by the other 40-some senators?
By building relationships. And let's take a moment. I'm a lifelong Marylander. I'm a lifelong Marylander that has come to the Eastern Shore over 43 years ago. I'm a small business person. And when I look out into our viewers here, I'm just like them. I came here, small business person, family person. God bless Kathy. It's Pink Ribbon Month. You know, her contributions that she made, but we built a family here. And we have a mortgage, and we pay bills. And when I go to the legislature, those divides that are constantly talked about, we negotiate them away by relationships and by trust. And certainly when you look at the needs of, when you talk about the Big Seven, they have their needs as well, but we have ours here on the Eastern Shore. And inviting our friends down from across the Bay Bridge, coming down to enjoy and vision and go out on the farms and see what this is really all about, to really learn about phosphorus management and really learn about what our economic engine is based upon here. This is how we do it. And so that when you go on the floor or when you're in committee, they know that you're representing the most important part of your constituency, and that's your people and their industry, their lifeblood. So that's how you do it. And when you look at the, I guess, effectiveness, if I had to sum up the time that I've had in the General Assembly, if you gave me 4 words, I'd say effective leadership, effective results. But you know, if I could add 2 more, it's by building relationships. And that's how you do it. That's how we've been able to do it. And I've been able to stand together with not only people from across Maryland, but up in Western Maryland, Senator George Edwards, our delegates and senators from Southern Maryland. Look at the trying experience we had this session with the land-based wind turbines, where you know, we had to stand against all of the leadership from the federal government through President Miller, my committee chair, but we stand for and with the citizens of the Eastern Shore to make certain we hear about that economic opportunity from Pioneer Green, And although we came up a little short on the vote on the floor, we were able to be persuasive and have that bill, which would have been a strong impediment to that opportunity. Whether that gets built or not, it's where it should be. It's in the hands of local government in Somerset County. I have faith that they will certainly make the best decisions, but the obstruction that the state put in its way after Pioneer Green came in here and did their due diligence for the better part of 4 years and invested upwards to $5 million was wrong. It was wrong, Phil. But those relationships from across the state allowed us the opportunity to get our voice heard, and not only to have the voice heard, for your voice to be effective. And that's what we've been able to achieve.
Are there some issues that you hear about that are more statewide than they are regional? Are there some big issues that the state of Maryland faces? I mean, the tax burden is one. Everybody talks about jobs and the economy. What can the state government do to encourage investment in our economy?
Well, I think the most important thing is understand that these regulations are onerous. And what we need to do is be able to get them out of the way and allow economic investment, capital investment to come in through the most free capital system that we know here in the world today. That's our economy, and come in and make investments here. I've talked about how the accessible base in Ocean City was when I came in, from $4 billion to $12 billion, and of course we had the recession. But today, as we speak, there's confidence in our economy that there's 4 hotels under construction. I've talked about, absolutely, flag hotels. I talked about Court Plaza. When you look at the opportunities that are there today, when you look around at the investment that wants to be here and the industrial base. So what we have to make certain happens is that our state, our region, remains attractive and vital, and just like any other business opportunity, shows a net benefit, a net income, a net profit, so that the banks and the lending institutions that look at those industrialists that want to come here and those venture capitalists that want to come here, and they say, this is where we're going to profit, this is where we're going to grow, this is how we're going to go forward. And we've already talked about a number of those assets that are there today, from the redevelopment of the downtown of Salisbury to Wallops Island to the very vibrant tourism industry and agriculture and the like, and small business. I was sitting with a gentleman yesterday in an office, a builder, that told me how he started. He's 40 years old, and how the success, you know how he achieved his success? By doing it and getting the job done right. He said, I used to be worried about what it would cost me and all, but you know, Jim, what really was my motivation was giving my heart and soul and getting the job right. And once that became my guiding light, he said, my success came right afterwards. And that's what we have to do here. But that's what I take to the floor of the Senate, is making sure that the voice of business. I am endorsed by a National Federation of Independent Business. Over 320,000 businesses across the United States of America objectively looked at this race, and they look at my business experience and my effective record and said, this is the person that can represent us most. But looking and taking that experience to the floor of the Senate and saying, government, stand off to the side, allow free enterprise to come and invest and grow, and you'll see prosperity. And that's what we're looking to do.
Yeah, stay out of the way.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What committees do you serve on in the Senate?
Senate Finance Committee.
Oh.
And I'm very pleased. Every financial and industrial part of Maryland is discussed there, from utilities, insurance, banking or unemployment insurances, economic development, healthcare insurance. They're all discussed there. Senator Mac Middleton is my chair, and I have great colleagues from across the state, and we all come together. I serve on Senate Finance, and we talk about the 90 days that we're in session, but this is a 365-day a year job, around the clock. When we're in Annapolis on committee, certainly is the workbench. That's where we're able to get the job done. But when we're back in the district is where the real heart of the job is done every day. And when our venture capitalists, you talked about Jim Perdue, when he comes and says, hey, we really have a problem here. When our tourism-based industry says, hey, we really need to continue to grow. You look at those beaches in Ocean City. You look at Peninsula General Hospital and their needs, our regional shock trauma center here. You know, people ask two questions when they come to locate or relocate to an area. They asked about their educational systems, their schools, and they asked about their health care. And certainly what we do 90 days is make those decisions for the people of the Eastern Shore. We're able to make those decisions. But throughout the year, where I'm here on the Eastern Shore, I'm working with our people every day, and I take that to the Senate Finance Committee. And I'm fortunate because the voters have allowed me the opportunity to represent them and be their trustee. I take that to work with me every day to work effectively on their behalf.
You represented us for a while in the Maryland House. Tell us just a little bit, take a couple minutes to describe the difference between the House and the Senate.
Well, let me do it the way Chairman Norm Conway does it. And he says, Jim, it takes both houses to pass a bill.
And don't forget it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then it takes the governor to sign. And so you have to be certainly respectful of all three branches of government, but the entire legislative process. I enjoyed my time in the House. I enjoyed my time as mayor. I enjoyed my time in the House. I was on economic matters, and it really kind of set the stage. We had the same overview of business and all in economic matters, and as a business person, it was a great fit for me. But we worked on, the committee structure is the same. There's 141 members versus 47. But let me say to you that both sides, the House and the Senate, need to work together and find cohesion in order to be effective. But the relationship still to this day, there's sometimes we're working on a bill in the Senate, just like returning the monies back to community impact monies from the casino back to Worcester County. It was a tough bill in the Senate when we did that bill in 2012, and I could see the challenges were there, and if we opened it up. But I talked with my colleagues over in the House that once we got it out of the Senate, we needed to be able to get the language we needed here on the Eastern Shore to have that 18% come back to the shore. We worked with our members in the House. I worked with my vice chair when I was on Economic Matters, Dave Rudolph, and worked on the language to get the job done. So it's about relationships. Certainly, I enjoyed it. And then when my predecessor decided he was going to retire and that opportunity was there, we sought that opportunity in 2010. I enjoy very, very much, and I'd like to think modestly that I am very effective in the Senate. When we adjourned without a budget in 2012, if you recall, and some tough decisions were going to have to be made about the state with regards to pensions and teacher pensions and who was going to contribute and the like. I knew it was going to be tough for Wicomico County and Worcester County and Somerset County. And I was able then to invite, before we went back into the special session, Senate President Miller to come down. He came down here on Mother's Day, spent the entire day here with me and members from Wicomico County government, Andy Mackerel, and elected officials, with Somerset County officials, Worcester County officials, so that we knew that certain things were going to have to be done, but we asked them to identify their priorities where we could help in other ways, and with projects, and certainly with their needs. And we've been able to do that. So we need to be able to be effective in both houses, to bring leadership from our presiding officers, from our committee chairs, but most importantly from our colleagues, to understand that's how you build relationships. That's how you are effective. You have to build these relationships. But I'm very thankful for my time in the House. And certainly, we already mentioned his name here one time, who has been a terrific mentor, has been Chairman Conway, and the works that he has been able to achieve. So I remember, and we'll just leave it here, when I was on the city council and Fish Powell was the mayor, and he'd say, we're going up to Annapolis to ask about Atlantic General Hospital, or about beach replenishment, or about the expansion of the convention center. All three projects which have created jobs and future opportunity. And he'd say, who wants to go? And of course I'd raise my hand saying, I want to go, Mr. Mayor, I want to go. And when I walked into Annapolis with Mayor Powell, the doors opened up, because they knew how important the Eastern Shore and Ocean City is to our economy. And they were there because they believed in us. They looked at the diligence that we've done. They could see the vision in our eyes and the desire to make certain that we continue to grow the Eastern Shore and Ocean City. And that has been what has enthused me. It's enthused me to be able to go forward in the House. God bless Bennett Bosman. It enabled me to build those relationships there and to cross into the Senate, and certainly to be able to work with the executive branch as we go forward. And that's where we learned, and that's the value of relationship building. And I knew I had a strong foundation here as a lifelong Marylander, but as an Eastern Shoreman for over 40-some years, 43 years, to be able to build upon because of those who've gone before us. And I want to make sure I'm able to continue to do my part by doing our part representing the citizens of the Eastern Shore.
By the time the new governor and the new Senate and House is sworn in, it'd be 2015. From 2015 onward for the next 4 years, what are some of Jim Mathias's priorities?
Oh, rural prosperity, absolutely. Making sure that Maryland is competitive with other states, inviting industry here, making certain that we can have that venture capital come here. You know, one specific issue that I've been working with is school after Labor Day. And we were able to get that task force done and got a strong recommendation to start school after Labor Day. When we look at our needs in the state and we look at the opportunities we want to grow business and we look at how vital the tourism industry here is, we already have that industry here. And certainly to be able to have our school children and our teachers be able to continue to vacation with their families for another week or 10 days and come into the shore, or go into Western Maryland to enjoy all of the mountains and all that Western Maryland has to offer, or go into Annapolis and tour our history of our state capital and the Naval Academy, or go into Baltimore and watch those Orioles play, or maybe enjoy that Ravens game, or go to the state fair. You know, to be able to do that together as a family is fantastic. And certainly to be able to enjoy that revenue that comes forward, that really is important as we go forward. But certainly healthcare here on the Eastern Shore, in our rural areas, telemedicine is critical. I talked earlier about the medical school, but as we're achieving that dream as we go forward, telemedicine and healthcare delivery, making certain, and we've been able to do that. We've been able to take our research hospitals, Johns Hopkins, University Hospital, Kennedy Krieger, Shepherd Pratt, and bring those services onto the Eastern Shore by telemedicine. So these are things that I want to continue to improve upon. These are certainly the bright light that is here for us to go forward on the Eastern Shore. And these are just some of my priorities, but affordability, where a family stays together, continues to grow together here, and have opportunity on the Eastern Shore, and affordable opportunity.
That's great. Well, we're going to do for you what we've done for everybody else. We're going to ask you to look at that camera and pretend that it's a front door, and somebody's just opened it, and you're going to introduce yourself and give them your 1.5 minute spiel.
Well, hi, I'm Jim Mathias, and I'd like to ask you for your vote. And certainly the most efficient and effective way to do that is ask you to take a look at my record, and if I can sum it up in 4 words: effective leadership, effective results. Please take the opportunity to look around at where we are today. We've talked in this interview already about our assets and our strengths, but just look at how effective that we have been able to be by building relationships. Your vote is important. Most importantly, I ask you to go Early voting starts on October the 23rd for 7 days, and our traditional voting day is November the 4th. But a number of organizations, our Fraternal Order of Police, National Federation of Independent Business, our Maryland Farm Bureau, our Maryland Association of Realtors, our teachers have endorsed us. They looked at this race and they believe that our record stands strong and effective. And I asked you for your vote. You're the most important person here that I represent. You are the Eastern Shore. I asked you to continue to allow me the opportunity to be your voice and be your representative, effective voice and effective representative on the Eastern Shore so we can continue to achieve. I thank you very much, and I appreciate your time.
Well, Senator, we appreciate your time coming in and talking with us today. And it is very important that everybody get out there and vote. You mentioned the early voting opportunity, which I enjoy myself. Carol and I, that's how we vote now. And you can avoid those lines on Election Day by doing that, usually. So thank you for coming in. Thank you for your service to the Eastern Shore and to the state of Maryland. We appreciate it very much.
You're welcome, and I appreciate PAC 14 and the information that you're able to deliver to our citizenry. The most important part of government is our citizens, and for our citizens to be informed and engaged is the job that you do, and we do appreciate that, and I'm proud to be part of it. Thank you very much. I'll see you at the polls.
All right. And thank you for being with us on this special segment of One-on-One right here on PAC 14.